Hello everyone. I wanted to continue my legend series, and a lot of people might be surprised. My legend today is Barry Richards of South Africa. I'm saying surprised because a lot of people might not know about Barry Richards, especially the younger generation for sure, and even a lot of other people who, because he didn't play a lot of Test matches. People in South Africa obviously know him. He's an absolute legend. He's like a myth in South Africa. I grew up reading a lot about Barry Richards and also hearing a lot about him from former players in the commentary. He was regarded as one of the finest batsmen that the 20th century produced, the world has ever produced. Sadly, he couldn't play a lot of test matches because of the apartheid international ban that was imposed on South Africa. His full name is Barry Anderson Richards, and he was born July 21st, 1945. He is from Natal, KwaZulu Natal, Durban, and he played only four test matches for South Africa, and he scored 508 runs at an average of a 72.5, about 72 runs average, and he scored 200s. His highest was 140. That innings was when Graham Pollock scored that famous 274, which was a highest score for South Africa for many years. And another thing that a lot of people might not know, I will put another video for that show. South African team in the 1969-70, just before they were banned, I mean, they had one of the greatest teams in the history of cricket. Bill Lawry, considered one of Australia's greatest captains, they came to India and it was almost considered impossible to beat India in India with the Indian spinners. Bill Lawry's Australian side came to India and they beat India, and they were on a high, and they went to play four test matches against South Africa, and South Africa thrashed them 4-0, and all the victories were massive victories. It wasn't just normal victories, it was like by innings and by 300 runs, 200 runs. It was massive thrashing South Africa gave to Australia. The captain was Ali Barker, and South Africa had a great team: Barry Richards, Graham Pollock, Peter Pollock, Mike Proctor, Dudley Nurse, a lot of players. Uh, and Anyway, I'll put a video separately for that. I mean, Barry Richards, he scored more than 28,000 runs in first class cricket with an average of more than 54. His highest score was 356 runs, and he scored 80 centuries in the first class cricket. He played for Gloucestershire, Hampshire, Natal, and also for South Australia. And he also played five Super Tests for the World 11 during the Kerry Packer, the World Series cricket. He When he was in school, I mean, he playing for South African schools. Barry Richards scored 100 against the Western Province first class team. I mean, that is a massive achievement. I mean, the standard of South African cricket in those days, even now, I mean, especially in those days, were very high. And to score 100 against Western Province for a first class team when you were batting in school, that was a big achievement. So Barry Richards showing his talent at an early age. And he was the Wisden Cricketer of the Year in 1969. And in 1968, his first season for Hampshire, he scored 2,395 runs. And no one scored more than that. That was the highest. No one scored more than that in the whole country in county championship. And that was an amazing achievement from Barry Richards. And there's another massive achievement of him that I should say. In 1970-71 series, as an overseas player, he played for South Australia, and he played a match against Western Australia. And the bowling attack of Western Australia was Dennis Lilly, the great Dennis Lilly, Graham Mackenzie, who was a great bowler, Tony Locke as well. I've heard a lot about him. I mean, three of them were in that bowling attack. And Barry Richards scored 325 runs in a single day. I mean, that is a massive achievement to score that many runs against bowlers of that quality. I mean, that is very few players have done like that in world cricket history, and especially against their attack, probably the only one. And there's another achievement that they say. I mean, he has scored 900s before lunch on the of a match. So that means 9 centuries in a session. Things that only Barry Richards could do. From 1970 onwards, Gordon Greenidge, the great Gordon Greenidge of West Indies, was Barry Richards' opening partner at Hampshire. And there was a famous innings once he played. He scored 155 not out in a score of 215 for 3 in the John Player League against Yorkshire. And when Yorkshire batted second, they were 74 for 9 in 40 overs. It was a 40 over match. So imagine that, 155 not out of a score of 215 for 3 in 40 overs, and the opposition was 74 for 9 in 40 overs. So imagine how difficult the pitch was, and he batted like it was like nets. That was Barry Richards. When on his day, you couldn't stop him. And there was another match where once he scored 255 not out in a 344 score. So when that shows, when Barry Richards was dominating, there is nothing you could do. I mean, and he played. I've said he played 5 Super Tests in the World Series, the World 11. He opened the batting with Gordon Greenidge there, and he 5 matches he scored around 554 runs, and he has scored 200s, and his highest score was 207. And Vivian Richards was also batting that day, and Barry Richards outperformed Vivian Richards. Barry Richards was unstoppable that day. And he scored 207. That was his highest score then in that World Series. So in 5 Super Tests, getting more than 554 runs. So that shows. I mean, I've already given a lot of examples. Barry Richards piling up the runs, runs after runs, and he's also the only player to score 1,000 runs in one season in the Currie Cup. The Currie Cup was the South African first class cricket. That's how it was used to be known as. And he scored 1,000 runs. He actually scored 2 times. He has scored more than 1,000 runs in a season. And there's only 8 matches. There was only 8 matches in a season that time. And another thing about Barry Richards, uh, Dickie Bird, the great umpire. I mean, everyone knows Dickie Bird. Dickie Bird, the older generation, especially, the finest umpire that we all know. And Dickie Bird, in his autobiography, he when he selected his dream team from all the players that he saw play, he selected Barry Richards in that team. So that is such a massive honor coming from Dickie Bird. And Sir Don Bradman, when he picked his 20th century team, Barry Richards was his opening batsman. So that says how great Barry Richards was. And I've heard a lot in commentary was Jeffrey Boycott talking about Barry Richards. I mean, Jeffrey Boycott is on a different level when he talks about Barry Richards and that 1969-70 South African team. He used to say what a team South Africa used to have in those days. I mean, quality players. And another thing that I should say, if Barry Richards only played 4 Test matches, but he proved himself playing first class cricket and the World Series cricket, so everyone knows how great he was. But I'm just saying, if Barry Richards played Test cricket like the other players had played, most of the records in cricket, Test cricket, would have been with him today. I mean, he was a prolific run scorer. And even in the not one day internationals, the 1 day first class matches, he scored more than 8,500 runs with 16 centuries. So that's how good Barry Richards was. And so he belonged to that invincible South African team of the 1960-1970. It's a very sad, disappointing thing that he couldn't play more Test cricket. But batting for, I mean, he scored tons and tons of runs for Hampshire, Gloucestershire, Natal. When he played for South Australia, he was prolific as well. And in that series, I was talking about that 1970-71 series when he scored 325 runs in a day against Dennis Lilly and co. He, in that season, in 10 matches, he scored like 1,538 runs at an average of 109. So that shows the quality of Barry Richards playing against the best of the best. World Series cricket, obviously, the best of the cricketers were playing in the World Series cricket, and the way he dominated. So that is my and when I played, I was in South Africa for 11 years. I played a lot of cricket in South Africa in the Premier League. I played in Pretoria, I played in Johannesburg, I played in Nelspruit. I played with so many different clubs as well. There were a lot of big players, and I used to go from club to club to join them. And every time I used to talk about Barry Richards and Graham Pollock, I mean, they used to be, because they didn't expect someone coming from India, especially my age, talking about Barry Richards and Graham Pollock. And I said I've read a lot about them and I have huge admiration for them. And I always used to ask players about them, and I used to hear a lot of stories about Barry Richards and Graham Pollock. And I've also actually met a lot of people at the club, the older senior people who have watched Graham Pollock and Barry Richards bat live, like people who have been at the ground when he batted, and they were like in awe of his talent. I mean, his batting. I mean, he was an absolute superstar in South Africa. He's like I said. I mean, like a legend. You almost say like, when you say like he's like a myth. That's what Barry Richards and Graham Pollock is in South Africa. And my next Legends video, now normally I don't say it, but my next Legend video will be Graham Pollock. I mean, just like I said, I thought it was appropriate that I put Gundappa Vishwanath after Sunil Gavaskar. I think it is really appropriate to put Graham Pollock and Barry Richards together. So that is my Legend video for today. Barry Richards, if he had played more Test cricket, I'm pretty sure that he would have been Sir Barry Richards. So anyway, thank you to Barry Richards as well. I grew up listening to your stories, and thank you for all the inspiration and the figure that you have been in my mind. And I also have to say one more thing. When in 1994-95, I read a sports star, and at that time, Shane Warne had only played like 3 years of international cricket. But at that time, Barry Richards predicted that Shane Warne would take more than 500 Test wickets. That was a big prediction to make in such an early time, because it was only 3 years Shane Warne had played. And at that time, 431, Richard Hadley's 431 was broken by Kapil Dev. So 434 was like the world record at that point. So to make a prediction that early that Shane Warne would take more than 500, because he said it was definite. So that shows he could already see the potential of Shane Warne, and making a big prediction about a big player from a big player like Barry Richards. Definitely one of the greatest batsmen the world missed in Test cricket, but thankfully, because of the World Series cricket and the county cricket, the world got to see the extreme talent of Barry Richards. That is my video. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoy, and I'm sure for a lot of people it will be new news, new information. Thank you so much. Please do make your comments in the comment box. Take care. God bless you.